Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Tyre Straits podcast, the most unprofessional motorsports podcast there is, especially this week.
Yes, because we're in the same room.
We are. Please excuse any sort of microphone issues or anything like that. I only have the one microphone, and we are sharing it. And to top it off, we are drinking. And we've already had quite a lot.
We've had a fair bit, because we thought, in our infinite wisdom, Monaco was not going to be particularly interesting a race. So what's a better way to spice up the review than mixing a bit of alcohol into it? But actually, Monaco was not too bad this week.
No, it wasn't. But anyway, I am your host, Scobbo, and I'm joined as usual by my co-host,
Doots.
Yes. And this is the week in, week out motorsports podcast that gives you a bit of insight, a bit of humour, and a bit of antics every week. And the same can be said for this week. So,
yes, very much so.
Please do excuse any hiccuping, burping.
Grim. Thoroughly. We can just mute that stuff, you know. We don't need to do a
No,
disclaimer.
I can't be arsed. I can't be arsed to go through and edit out every burp.
Fair enough. That's to each their own. But no, today we're going to be discussing the Monaco Grand Prix, going over a review. Thoughts? First thoughts before we hop into it?
I was saying this to you beforehand as well, but I do think this has definitely been the best Monaco Grand Prix we've had in about 5 years.
Definitely in recent history, it's been one of, certainly since COVID, the best we've had. Like,
Easily.
The most interesting.
Easily.
23 was had the possibilities, but never actually ended up doing
No.
But it's been good this year. It's been good.
Yeah. So, with all that in mind, we're just going to get on to the sort of general news regarding Formula One. And what have you brought to the table on this one?
Well, there's a couple of things that we've got to discuss this week. First off, we need to talk about a prison sentence. Specifically, that Charles Leclerc has announced he's extended his Ferrari contract, possibly up until
Poor boy.
2030, and that is, on the one hand, good that he's actually secured the seat. It's not going to be taken from him anytime soon. I'm pretty certain that their plan is, when Lewis leaves, Behrman will come up, so they want to keep Leclerc there as something somewhat stable at the team for a while.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it means that he is stuck there at Ferrari
Poor boy.
is privy to their horrendous strategy calls, their questionable actual driving capability, and how good the car performance is, and all sorts of different things throughout the coming years. And as such, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm hoping Ferrari pull through with the car, which they've been decent.
You and me both. You and me both.
But yeah, we just never know.
Yeah, well, to add to the agony, the Las Vegas Grand Prix has extended its contract until 2037. Now, I mean, this is better news than the Miami contract extension. Admittedly,
Sure.
As much as I actually think Las Vegas is an okay track.
I don't think it's too bad. I think
It's all right.
The problem with Vegas is just that it's new enough that we don't know tons about it, and it's so different to every other track because it's so high speed, it's so many open straights, and it's so much colder than a lot of the other tracks as well. Because it's positioned at the night in Vegas in November.
In the Nevada desert.
So it's because last year, it's one thing about proof where the Mercedes last year worked best in cold conditions. So places like Canada and then Vegas is when they actually shone.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one, and obviously it's a general kind of trend with the American tracks at the moment, where a lot of them have had sort of long-term contract extensions. Obviously, Miami previously as well. Yeah. Miami's until 2038?
I'm pretty sure Miami's till 40, but
something like that. It's got a crazy long contract.
Miami's got one of the longest contracts. I think the longest at the moment is the Red Bull Ring. I will quickly check that for you in a sec.
I think it actually might be Miami.
Wouldn't shock me. Hold on.
It's got like a crazy long contract extension. And yeah, it's just, I think, a general trend in the sort of American tracks at the moment in terms of obviously Vegas now as well as Miami having sort of about 10 plus year long contracts.
So the longest, Austria and Miami are actually tied.
I see.
They both go up to 2041.
Wow.
Australia then goes up to 37, obviously shared with Miami now. And then after that, it's Bahrain at 36.
To think I won't live to see the last ever Miami Grand Prix.
Well, you never know. Perhaps you won't even live to see the next one.
But we'll see how we go with this one.
Yeah, who knows?
But yes, with all that in mind, that's the sort of general news this week. We haven't really got much else to say in terms of Formula 1, and we'll get to the other motorsports series a bit later. But for now, we must turn to the main point of talking for this episode, and that is indeed, of course, the Monaco Grand Prix, which we've just had. If we just quickly, sort of some general thoughts, what do we think of this one? Like we said, we said this is the best one.
We said it's better. I think it's handily been the best as of recent. There's been more overtakes, quote unquote, but there has genuinely been. There's actually been more on-track action. There's been more jeopardy with penalties and with issues going on. A lot closer fighting than before. I will say, however, the qualifying, because obviously the sort of typical kind of formula is, for most people, the qualifying is better than the race. Yeah. I've got to say, I didn't think lots of the qualifying. The qualifying, the only thing that was particularly good was Q3. Yeah. And it was the fact that, obviously Leclerc pushing for that last lap and then binning out at the end. Yeah, but my Antonelli taking it by what, 100th or something? It was 400ths or something like that. Yeah. It was a really close margin between Verstappen and Antonelli, which was raring for an interesting race going forward. And we'll get to what happened with that. But the qualifying on the whole wasn't too interesting. Leclerc topped Q1. It looked like the Ferraris were going to be very good, and they ended up 3rd and 4th. Yeah. No shock. Good result from Hadjar on the whole, getting 5th. Which is quite a shock, and a little uncharacteristic from the McLarens, but they were having some problems, so it's not too surprising. Yeah, P7 and P8 in qualifying. Yeah. Just on that note, should we just quickly go through the qualifying order? Obviously, like I say, very brief. Qualifying wasn't really that interesting, but just to give a quick top 10, obviously Kimi Antonelli took pole after just about beating Max Verstappen's best time, literally about 400th or 4,000ths in it, wasn't it? 5,000. So Kimi was a 1:12.051, and Verstappen was an 0.094. Yeah, so it was about 4,000ths of a second between them. 400ths of a second. 400ths of a second between them. Yes, so it was really, really close at the front, and then it was followed by Hamilton, Leclerc, Hadjar, Russell, Piastri, Norris, Gasly, and Lawson. So it's sort of a bit of a mix towards the end there of the qualifying order. More so. I think it's not that big of a shock. Obviously you've got all of the top team drivers there, and of the drivers that are outside of the top teams, Gasly and Lawson easily have been some of the best this season. Yeah. So it's not particularly shocking. Me and you were just discussing this before we started recording, but obviously Lawson's going under the radar, but he's currently best of the rest, and we'll definitely get to his race later for the RB in general. RB did have a very good weekend. He is doing some bits. But yes, if we any sort of takeaways from qualifying, any sort of thoughts? No. It just shows that there is some amount of pace from everyone. Qualifying on the whole was decently close at the top. It obviously filter off towards the back end. But as much as I think it was actually one of the less good qualifying sessions we've had for Monaco in the last sort of 5 years. For Monaco, for sure. I was going to say this year it was one of the better. The race was better, but the qualifying I don't think was as good. Yeah. But as far as I'm concerned, it was relatively close no matter what. The other thing is just Antonelli. I just have to mention Antonelli he's got the pace. He seems quite tough to beat in that Mercedes. It's a winning combo at the moment. It's just it's doing bits. And also, I must just add that obviously the new regulations, we know they are a bit slower than last year's, but they are only about 3 seconds off from the pole time from last year. They're not that far off. So they're obviously 3 seconds is a lot in racing, but when it comes to a whole new set of Formula 1 regulations, that's not a huge deficit. There's also, you've got to think about the fact that one of the other big factors to that is that there's no straight line mode on the circuit this year. So there is no DRS area, whereas in years gone by, they would have that rear wing open to help them down the pit straight. You are absolutely right. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. But yes, obviously, the sort of with the current sort of quote unquote active aero systems that we've got, the sort of way it works is on the straights on most of the actual race circuits that we've got, the
sort of wings, they fold down or upwards depending on the team that you're talking about. And they sort of, in the same way DRS used to work, they reduce the amount of drag on the car, on the aerodynamics. And then before you get to the corner, you sort of leave that area and the wings, for lack of a better term, flip up again and reintroduce the aerodynamics, the sort of strong downforce for the cornering.
Yeah.
But Monaco did not have any of that on the straights.
Well, you see, that's the thing. That's what makes it interesting. Because actually, several teams, I know that Red Bull, I'm pretty sure, were one of them, which is probably why they've done so well around the circuit, is they brought a specific static wing for this weekend.
Oh, really?
Because the idea they don't need the actuators that flip it round. There's no straight line. There's no chance of it being open.
I was not aware of this.
Yeah. So there's no... so they've like modified it with different winglets and stuff like that, which is possibly why you got such good result. And we will get to it. Well, such good results in qualifying from both Red Bulls and such a decent result from one Red Bull in the main race.
But with that in mind, and obviously there's a lot kind of going around with penalties and such. But shall we? Do you want to quickly just go over the sort of top 10 from the race itself? If we leave qualifying there.
Yeah, from the actual main race, you had the race was won by Kimi Antonelli.
Shock horror.
Fantastic! Like you can't fault him. There's no. You can say all you want, but you cannot fault his racecraft at the moment he's doing.
What was it? It was like a 6-second gap on Hamilton, which
isn't
a lot any other track, but Monaco, that's a lot.
Well, no, it's more so. It's a 6-second gap after a restart about like 10 laps earlier.
No, you're right.
From within 10 laps, he's pulled a 6-second gap. It's monstrous. But even then, he pulled a massive, an even larger one earlier.
Yeah.
Second was Hamilton, who clinging close behind. In all fairness, the Ferraris had an awful lot of pace this weekend, but some of it did not go to plan.
No.
Third position currently is Zach Hadjar. Now there is slight into question of whether he keeps that podium, which I'll discuss that later, but for the moment he is still the podium sitter. Great to see him on the podium for Red Bull for the first time. Obviously he got the V-Carb podium at Zandvoort.
His second career
podium, but his first Red Bull podium, and the first time a second driver has gotten a podium for Red Bull since Perez 49 races ago.
Wow, that's a crazy statistic.
It's quite the difference. So it's great to see that he's actually pulled that off.
Yeah, wow.
Because there was lots of things up in the air about the fact that he's going to fall foul to the same curse as before. I had a bit of faith of him, but he hasn't had the most electric start to the season. But then again, Red Bull's not been the best.
The Red Bull has not been very strong this year compared to previous years at least.
Yeah. Anyway,
even last year when they obviously did not start as strong, been...
Verstappen was getting it by the end, whereas this year it's been up and down so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But fourth,
from back there, yeah.
From fourth, we had Oscar Piastri. We had fifth, Liam Lawson with a career best. And sixth...
joint career best.
Yeah, joint career best. Sorry, yeah, where did you get the fifth before? Was it
Singapore?
It was either Singapore or Monaco last year.
It was one of the two.
One of the two, but... I
mean, we could be completely wrong.
Yeah,
we are drunk.
A tiny bit. But with a fifth... from Lawson. We had sixth, Arvid Lindblad.
Definitely
a career best. Fantastic drive from him. You can't fault him in the slightest. Part of it was definitely because of certain penalties, but also, if you watch it, he's one of the few who's actually pulled off some pretty impressive overtaking around Monaco. He's got the youthful guts to actually make a lunge at some of the corners. Seventh, Pierre Gasly. It's a shame about him, but we shall talk about that later. 8th with Alex Albon, 9th with Esteban Ocon, and in P10, Fernando Alonso gets his first point of the season. And I got a little bit of brilliant information for you. So I know you are celebrating this to pieces. He's managed to get his first point earlier this year than he did last year.
Really?
Last year was worse. It took him 9 rounds, I believe. Whereas this year it's only been 6.
That's crazy.
So technically, he was having a better year this year. You'd be hard,
in spite of the fact that he is being killed by that car. I'm not even like exaggerating at this point. Like, he is just being murdered by that car.
He's been rattled to death.
Yeah,
but
that poor man.
The notable omission from I will mention 2 notable omissions. One was Sergio Perez, who actually did finish on the road in 10th.
Yeah, in terms of original classification, Perez was 10th.
He was it?
But after it was the starting infringement.
Well, it was weird because on the road, Hülkenberg was 9th, Ocon was 10th. Then Hülkenberg got a penalty downwards, which put Perez up into 10th. Then Perez got a penalty downwards, which put Alonso up into 10th. And the other notable omission...
Either way, it was first points for Cadillac of all time, or first points for Aston Martin.
It was either going to be first ever points for Cadillac, or first ever points for... or first points for Aston this year, so, ups and downs.
Yeah, absolutely.
But another omission from that is George Russell in 12th, and we shall definitely be talking about him.
Oh, yes.
But first, we want to talk about penalties.
Yes.
And the obscene number of penalties that occurred this week, and either actually followed through or the ones that were just investigated. But I believe it was 15 separate incidents
that
were at least investigated during the race as individual incidents, and a large majority of them led to penalties. A lot of speeding in the pit lane.
Yeah.
With large amounts where it was 60, because it's a 60 kilometre an hour or mile an hour pit lane speed limit. And for the race, obviously that's much slower than a considerable number of other tracks. And they decided that all of the documents that were released, they were being reported as 60.1 on their speed. Which made, and with so many people being reported for it, there was lots of talk about it being an error in the system. And it's still up in the air as of now. And one of the things...
I would just like to stress we record this on a Monday, so the race was yesterday for us.
Yeah.
We release on a Tuesday, so many, many things could have happened in the evening and morning since we recorded this.
By the time this episode's out, who knows, all the penalties have been reversed, and... you got Pierre Gasly P3. You got
Sergio Perez P10.
Yeah, you got all sorts of different things changing around. So I don't know if things have been cleared through yet.
George Russell P32.
He's just been detonated. They've
actually shot him.
They've thrown him into the harbour.
They've just actually shot him. They've taken him out back and shot him.
They've just crashed him into the swimming pool. But
Alberto Ascari.
Yes, but the pool, not the harbour. Slightly different, mainly in the amount of salt. But
salt comes from the tears.
Possibly. No, we've got some conversation about the penalties, and it's just, do you think that it was an actual fault with that? Because 60.1 for so many people.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, as well as that, I mean, obviously the cars of. Forgive me, but I am sort of swaying back and forth in my seat, so I may be getting closer and further away from the microphone. But obviously the cars have got a pit lane speed limiter, which is meant to limit them to 60 or below.
Yeah.
At least depending on the track, with the specific pit lane speed limits on each circuit. But I think as well as that, you can't take... obviously, we're going to discuss penalties quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I would just like to say that as well as that, we had 6 cars retire from the race.
Yeah.
We can't take away from the effect that had. Obviously, you had Charles Leclerc in a Ferrari. He retired after a crash. You had several mechanical failures. Obviously, Max Verstappen at the race start, his power unit failed him.
We haven't actually mentioned that. Verstappen just stalling on the line.
After starting P2 by technicality, at least.
Yeah.
In terms of engine failure, he ended up retiring from the race. Bottas ended up with brake failure, as did Oliver Behrman.
Yeah.
And then Lando Norris had a battery issue, and as well as that, you had Lance Stroll.
You had Stroll and Leclerc.
For once, it wasn't necessarily Stroll's fault either with the track conditions.
That's something we need to mention, actually, because while there has been the penalties, within all these retirements, you also had the track coming apart.
Yeah, absolutely. The track came apart.
Like tarmac actually being ripped off the road, which is not something you expect from Monaco, an insanely wealthy city-state.
Not at all.
This is just a regular patch of road, and maybe it was recently retarmaxed, but it's also unacceptable for the road to be coming apart like that. And, however, in theory, the actual gap that it created was not where the issue was. It
No.
was the marbles that came from it.
But my main thing is, for once, it wasn't really Lance Stroll's fault.
My God. It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's a bloody miracle.
Ladies and gentlemen at home, we have witnessed a miracle.
Stroll has crashed and it's not been his fault in the
I
slightest.
would be less shocked if Jesus appeared in this room and turned water into wine.
There's no water in this room, so
It's all just alcohol.
But
Oh, and there's some Coke.
I
would like to stress for the viewers at home, I'm talking about the beverage, not the illicit substance.
yes, Coca-Cola.
Choca-chola.
Fizzy drink. But
soda.
awful. Right. But no, it's like the
This
track.
episode is going to be 5 hours long.
It's gonna be an interesting one. But no, the track coming apart definitely has made it a bit more interesting. Caused several incidents, and I have to mention just how heartbreaking it was for Leclerc.
Yeah.
With him literally on the safety car restart crashing because of issues with his brakes, is what was claimed. And he was massively unhappy with it. You could see how angry he was from when he went into the pits afterwards.
Yeah.
It was grim viewing for him.
Pain for two Ferrari fans.
Yeah. But the penalties has caused an awful lot of chaos, and it's also meant an awful lot of positions, as we mentioned earlier when we were discussing the order. There's a lot of positions that have changed up and
They
down the
have
grid.
jostled somewhat.
Yes, I want to mention now, while we're on the penalties, of Pierre Gasly, who on the restart made a fantastic lunge up towards the front and managed to get up to third. And now the problem is he had 10 seconds worth of penalties that were from the pit lane speed limit. One of them was at 60.1 kilometers. One was at 60.4. And their Alpine are currently fighting to try and get an appeal for those, which will move them up from 7th back to 3rd and get that podium. Regardless, Hadjar went onto the podium during that day, so we can't really say anything. At the time, it is still Hadjar's
There
podium.
is a Frenchman on the podium nonetheless.
True. It just depends on which car he's driving and how tall he is. But
Absolutely.
I think that's enough from the penalties.
Yes, and with that in mind, we have to talk about the race winner.
Yes.
Kimi Antonelli.
Which, my goodness, 5 in a row.
5 in a row. His first 5 wins in a row.
He already has a higher race win streak than most of the grid. He's matched Hamilton's highest race win streak.
Is that...
I'm pretty sure it's only 5.
My God.
Which is monstrous. And the only person being higher than him is Verstappen.
Obviously, and Vettel.
Oh, and Vettel's not on the grid.
In terms of on the current
that's what I'm
grid,
saying.
yes.
I'm saying on the grid, but yeah, Vettel's higher, obviously. But you cannot deny just how like when this season started, we looked at it and we saw Mercedes had the best car. And we were like, this is Russell's to take. This is Russell's to lose for sure. And it turns out it really was Russell's to lose because, my God, Antonelli has been charging.
Woody fell off.
He's been since China, Russell has really been struggling. But it's also,
China.
It's also more so Antonelli's just not been making mistakes. He's been holding it.
No, he has.
It's
he
impressive.
has told Russell to hold the cell.
It's such an interesting thing to watch. And my question to you is, obviously he's running away with it a bit, but do you think he can be stopped? I mean, there's been pace shown from Ferrari and a bit of Red Bull.
I think so. I would like to hope we're going to get some Ferrari and Red Bull wins this season. Obviously, in terms of a sort of viewing spectacle, we want to see some different teams sort of in the mix. I think, and this does not necessarily count towards our predictions, which we'll get to later.
Yeah.
But I think this will probably be his last win in a row, for now, at least.
Interesting.
I think the next race in Barcelona,
yeah,
I think we'll at least have a different winner. And we'll, of course, get to that.
See, Barcelona's an interesting one because it's always been discussed that Barcelona is the test track. When you want to know which car is best, you see who's won at Barcelona.
Yeah.
And in this case, we're pretty sure that Mercedes have the best car, right?
Yeah.
So it's either going to be Kimi or Russell. I would not be shocked if Antonelli's going to win Barcelona, like in the slightest.
Yeah.
But we shall have to see eventually. And I kind of get that. I think Ferrari are so close that it wouldn't shock me if we do start to see some Ferrari wins. And as much as it's gonna, I'm a Charles Leclerc fan. He is my favorite driver. Hamilton has been at the very least matching him this season.
At least this last race, Hamilton has proved that he is.
I'll be honest.
Well, yeah, at least the last two, I'd say.
Podium Miami.
Beforehand,
they were battling. Like, they've been battling most of the season.
Obviously, the battle between them and China was
incredible.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah. But I do agree, and we'll get to that. But we'll get to predictions shortly.
Yeah, we'll talk about our predictions for winners and eventually what's going on for
Barcelona.
Barcelona in the future.
Yeah, we'll talk about our predictions for that shortly.
But regardless, speaking of Antonelli, we've got to kind of flip the coin over to the
other
side,
Mercedes driver.
the other side of the championship battle, which is what on earth is going on with George Russell?
It's not even the other side of the championship battle now, because Russell's now P3 in the championship.
Russell's P3, so technically it's Hamilton v Antonelli.
It is, and that is a brilliant.
That's
great, because you have. Not only do you have Ferrari versus Mercedes, you have age and youthfulness.
You've got one of the greatest of his time versus one of the greatest of what will be the future. Like, Antonelli is becoming such a star. You can feel it.
There is no denying that Kimi Antonelli is going to be a world champion at least once, let alone several times.
I mean,
some people are even saying that he's tied this year up already.
Don't get me wrong. He makes me think of Hamilton when he joined. Into a team that was performing well at the time.
Absolutely.
First year was decent but fraught with mistakes. Second year, clean house. Like, it's not too dissimilar. The only difference is the Mercedes is much better over the Ferrari than that McLaren was over the Ferrari.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the Mercedes is a very clear, better car. Like, it's clearly the best car on the grid, and it will continue to be at least until the rule change. Yeah. What, next month?
But you've also got that experience.
Is it next month?
Oh no, that already went. It was June, start of June.
Well, so never mind. The Mercedes is clearly the best car.
I believe this is the first race with that rule change.
Explode my penis and call me Mary.
But it is Monaco, so it's kind of hard to judge. Catalonia will be a much better proving ground for that. But when it comes to... It's the fact that you've got this actual pace in the Mercedes with Antonelli, but you've got Hamilton absolutely driving the wheels off that Ferrari to hold it as close as possible. It is incredibly impressive. And it's just to show that skill does not instantly die away with age.
He's like, what, 41?
41, I think?
Well, yeah, because Alonso's 43 and he's 2 years older.
Yeah. It's
about 41. Yeah, fair play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unk is absolutely performing.
P2 and by a tight margin compared to the rest of the grid.
He's farming his aura.
If you say so. Whatever, champ.
Whatever the kids say these days.
Champ. But regardless, Russell...
Russell.
Back onto it. Russell is on fraud watch.
Fraud Russell.
For the longest time, we've always looked at Russell, and this guy in a Merc has been beating Hamilton. And we're like, you give Russell the right car, he's going to be championship material. He's got the right...
Instead, his willy fell off.
He's got the right car, and he is down in 12th. He is not pulling it together. Now...
pulling it?
But he won't be pulling it if it's fallen off. But, he's down in 12th, and that is partially, I will also say, not all of it is his fault. There was the team's error where there was confusion on the radio on whether he was meant to be brought in or not. And when he got brought into the pits, or when he drove into the pits, he wasn't meant to, he was meant to stay out. However...
Ferrari 2022.
Well, when he came in, he was meant to serve a 5-second penalty.
His willy fell off.
I don't know what that has in relation, but they were meant to serve a 5-second penalty. And so they weren't meant to touch the car for the first 5 seconds, and they just instantly changed his tyres and let him go. And he even stopped for a couple of seconds in what the fuck have you done?
It's literally so funny.
It's so It's like such a cock up on
I
all
know.
sides.
I have friends who are Russell fans, and even they can't deny that Mercedes cocked up massively.
They messed that up. Like, don't get me wrong. There was confusion on whether he was meant to stay out or come in. But once he's come into the pits, you at the very least should actually serve his fucking penalty instead of just changing.
It's a madness. It's a madness.
So weird.
They really just shot themselves in the foot there, because obviously that meant that he ended up P12 of the current classification.
Well, yeah, he got a drive-through penalty for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously with the current classification, unless things sort of shift around, which I don't think they will in terms of his position at least.
I don't think Russell will be moved around besides other people around him.
But it has meant that Lewis Hamilton has overtaken him in the point standings this year, which has dropped him down to P3. And obviously George Russell is someone that we've always thought, I would like to say, as much as we haven't necessarily expressed it very well, me and you have both thought relatively highly of George Russell in the past.
For sure, yeah.
Because he is a driver who, sort of 2020 Bahrain, or was it Sakir, came in...
It was 2020 Sakir. He came in to cover for Lewis and was leading
when
the
Lewis
race.
had COVID, yeah.
Yeah.
Leading the race until that quote-unquote puncture, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
There's a whole conspiracy theory about that. I digress.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's always been clearly fast and clearly has been, the Mercedes favourite, at least until recently, arguably.
Until Antonelli has started coming up.
Antonelli has clearly had his number for the last, obviously the last 5 races at least.
I mean, I just can't imagine, being Russell must be so immensely painful, because you win your championship in F2, get moved up to F1 with the Mercedes family, and they're like, we're not quite sure yet, we'll stick you in Williams at its slowest point in recent history for a couple of years.
And obviously you've got some rough teammates as well.
Yeah.
Robert Kubica.
You got Robert Kubica, you got the Gotifi himself. You've got to absolutely fight your...
Jack Aitken at one point, wasn't it?
No, Aitken
filled in for Russell
when he
went to Mercedes. Yes, no, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But it was the fact of... He then, when they finally did move George up, he'd been in the sport 3 years at Williams in an awful car. And straight off the bat, he was beating Hamilton. This is a man who just lost an insanely tight championship battle, and he was being beaten by Russell. Some guy
week in, week out. Even the only Mercedes race win that year came from Russell in Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
So he clearly was the better. I mean, obviously, Russell and Hamilton spent 3 years together, and 2022 and 2024, Russell proved to be the better driver, not only obviously in terms of individual sort of performances, but also in the standings. Russell was clearly the better driver in those 2 seasons. Out of 3 seasons they spent together, Russell was, for 2 of them at least, better.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is you've become, you've joined this top team finally, and you're beating what is regarded as one of the greatest racing drivers of all time.
If not the greatest in some people's eyes.
Yeah, but your car isn't up to spec to beat the champion, to get the championship. And now finally, your car's ready to get the championship.
But you're not.
But your teammate has come in and is the next Hamilton. So all of a sudden, you're now the second driver almost.
And your willy fell off.
Okay. But it's just, it must be such... a heartbreaking experience, because he's got to fight for it. He's like he thought he was going to be the next Hamilton, but he's ended up the next Bottas. It's kind of tragic.
It is, absolutely.
Or even the next Barrichello, kinda. It's the fact that it's never properly lined up for him. He's always so far, besides his time at Williams, the times he's had to shine has been times where he's not been able to grab the championship. And now that he actually has the car, he's being outshone.
I mean, Narain Karthikeyan got points, didn't he?
I mean, I would have to check.
I think he did. No, he definitely did. 2005 Indianapolis, at least, confirms that.
No, yes. Was Karthikeyan?
Karthikeyan was Jordan back then.
Yeah.
So he was one of the
Bridgestone I'm trying to remember if he retired.
No, he was one of the Bridgestone runners.
Okay.
He was P4 that race or something.
Yeah.
Either way, that's a random fucking side tangent.
Very out of the blue.
But yes, and Antonelli is clearly the better of the 2 Mercedes drivers, at least right now.
Yeah.
And Russell has lost his willy. So the pace is not there at the moment. And obviously it's not, the thing is it's consistent as well, because he wasn't even struggling just in the race. He was struggling a lot in qualifying as well.
His weekend's not been particularly good.
He was only like P8 in qualifying at the highest point. Yeah. He's not had a good weekend at all.
No.
And I think, as much of some of it can be down to the car, obviously since the rule change, like you said, I haven't checked this, and neither of you obviously, but this might be the first race since the rule change in terms of fuel compression ratios.
I believe so.
But even without that factor, he's clearly had a lot of pressure on him, and he's just not been able to perform this weekend. I mean, Russell's not been one of the guys that we've thought of as one of the better in Monaco previously.
No. I mean, last year he was pretty woeful as well.
Yeah.
But I will also say a lot of the stuff that's happened this weekend hasn't really been his fault. Speeding in the pit lane, like, he was fourth for a good chunk of the race. Speeding in the pit lane, sure, you can possibly chalk that up to his fault, but then Merck not serving his penalty, that's their fault entirely.
Yeah.
There is the slight thing of maybe him backing up the field later on was a little bit out of the blue, but yeah, it's so. It's just disappointing to see, and I'm hoping he claws it back.
Absolutely. I would like a strong championship
I'd like
battle.
to see a championship fight. I'm not completely, I really want to see Russell win the championship, but I'd at least like to see an actual fight, and not just seeing this Italian teenager storm off ahead while Russell trips over himself for the next 18 races or whatever.
It's rough. What, 16?
Yeah, 16 at this point.
Well, no, that's taking out 2 as well, because obviously Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, so what?
That'll be 16.
14.
That'll be 16. 24 races, minus 2, 22. We've had 6 so far, so it'll be 16.
My willy fell off just like Russell's, so ignore me.
That's fucked up.
Anyway,
I've had to kick it around the floor.
It is on the floor right now, but anyway, if we turn our attention, sorry, I've just adjusted myself in my seat. Ignore the microphone issues. What's the whole situation with Pierre Gasly, Mr. Doots?
I mean, we kind of discussed that earlier. This was just I skipped ahead slightly in our notes. Essentially, it's Gasly's podium and just up in the air with the contract and the penalty. How's that going? But yes, I'm tripping over my words. You've thrown me off. We're constantly
Your willy fell off.
Yes, by constantly talking about Russell's penis. But
it's not just his willy that's fallen off now.
It was such a shame, and I do actually want to mention, because I haven't talked about it earlier. Gasly's
talking.
When Gasly crossed the line in third, he was third on the track, and the thing is, he actually thought he was third. So you can hear through his radio message, he celebrates to no end, only to be told the radio, no, you have the penalties, you're 7th. And it's so, in the interview, it's so heartbreaking.
Well, then after more penalties, he ends up P9.
Does he end up P9? I thought it was P7, I thought.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's that it's such a shame. He actually got up there on merit, but it was because of the speed limit thing. And I'd be so interested to know if it was genuine errors in the speed, sensors of the pit lane. Because in that case, Gasly should deserve that podium. I mean,
absolutely.
Don't get me wrong. Seeing Hadjar on the podium for the first time in Red Bull, it's fantastic. But
unless
also,
his willy fell off.
Gasly completely earned that podium. There is no way he does not deserve that at all. But that's about it when it comes to Gasly. I kind of talked it through earlier with what was going on with him penalty-wise.
Yeah, but now we have to move on to at least a team or two drivers that have done better.
This is more just
an optimistic outlook.
This is just a bit of a shout out, an absolute shout out and a half to the RB team with Liam Lawson and Arvid Lindblad both getting
5th and 6th.
5th and 6th, which is career best.
Yeah, joint career best for Liam Lawson, and P6 is career best for Arvid Lindblad.
For Arvid Lindblad, which is it's brilliant to see the team doing so well.
His willy stayed on.
If you say so. But it's just good to see. I mean, Lindblad started down in 15th and making it up to 6th is great. Lawson is a little bit less so. He started in 10th, but still
finished 5th.
Good to see in 5th. That's an impressive climb for him. And it's kind of, we were talking in our contract episode about Lawson not performing well and the possible replacement with either Solov or Iwasa or who knows, someone else.
But the last few races, Lawson has done well.
He's done brilliant. You can't really fault him on anything.
No, not at all.
He's pulling in the points, and he's now climbed up to be best of the rest in the championship.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Like with Gasly's drop down from third, he is now ninth in the championship behind the rest of the top team runners.
Yeah,
it is great to see. Like it honestly would not be shocked actually if he ends up going the same way as Gasly, in the sense that he, while being a Red Bull reject, he ends up sticking around the grid for a good while.
Yeah,
just because he's able to pull in some consistent points, some good technical feedback, and because places like New Zealand are not exactly the most represented on the grid, so having a Kiwi driver is a brilliant thing marketing wise.
Yeah, so with all of that sort of tied in together, I have to ask, is Monaco better?
Well,
your chair is creaking.
Yes,
it's pissing me off.
It really is, but I can't do anything about it. It's your chair. But
this is my dad's chair.
Okay, it's your dad's chair. Father Scobbott's chair.
And his willy fell off.
I don't need to know about that. Keep that to yourself. But I think on the whole, Monaco has been its improvement, but I wouldn't be able to say if it was because of the regulations. I think
this last race has just been better.
It's been better, but it's because of the amount of chaos that's gone on.
Yeah, that could happen with any year. Like, obviously, we think, what was it, 2023, when you had the first lap, you had a red flag.
Yeah. We had that massive crash with
between the two Hasses
and Perez.
Magnussen and Hulkenberg.
Yeah, it was Magnussen, K-Mag, Hulkenberg, and then Perez, and Perez flipping around and flying into the barrier at the side.
Like I sort of said earlier, I think the qualifying this year has not been as good as it has been in previous years. Obviously, I think 2023 is a highlight for me, at least particularly. I mean, not only as an Alonso fan, but also just as an F1 fan.
Verstappen's lap. I mean, Ocon getting a phenomenal run up to third and getting on the podium.
Absolutely.
Race, but also Verstappen pulling the most insane final sector on Monaco that year. Like that was mental. And don't get me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's things that you could discuss about the race afterwards of Alonso shouldn't have pitted beforehand. He should have waited for the rain.
Shut up.
And stuff like that. But it was still an enjoyable time.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
This year has been the first year in a while where I think the actual race has been much more enjoyable than quali.
I think part of that is, like I say, sort of to do with the fact that qualifying has not been as good. But also the race itself, the chaos has been entertaining.
I attribute it more to the fact that the race has been so chaotic with all the penalties, the red flag from Leclerc's crash, and the track being ripped
DNFs.
The 6 DNFs. Like, there's been a good amount of chaos, which I think has kind of pushed it up by proxy, but it's not because of the regulations in Monaco. I think it's just because of all
specific circumstances that surrounded this year's Monaco Grand Prix.
I don't think it was. I thought it was 7 people that DNF. Off the top of my head, I think I was just that
6.
No, because I swear Sainz got.
I'm looking at it and counting it right now.
Sainz retired, but he got
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, but Sainz retired.
Your willy fell off,
but still got counted because he completed most of the race distance. Do you not remember the collision happened?
Your willy fell off.
I cannot comment on that. But
I kind of tuned out at certain points.
It was Sainz colliding with Hulkenberg.
His willy fell off.
And then Colapinto afterwards, because that's where the both of them got their penalties from. Off the top of my head.
Their willies fell off.
Right. Now, I want to quickly talk about, while we're done with the actual F1 bits, I want to talk about F2 and F3.
Formula 2 was mad.
Formula 2 was chaos. You had someone running across the fucking track.
Oh, God, yeah.
And you had one of the most heinous messages ever responded from a race engineer to their driver.
Yes.
Where Rafael Camara, who was struggling on his brakes, and yes, he went off due to his own fault. There was no way.
But he was on brand new tyres.
He was on fresh tyres. He went off due to his own fault. However, his team responded in an insanely aggressive way that was no way acceptable.
No, not at all. I was actually slightly concerned.
I was shocked because it's like there's no chance, and it's so like looking at it without knowing the context. It's almost tough for a moment figuring out who's the driver and who's the team.
It's very unprofessional.
Because usually
it really is.
Usually,
we are not professional at all.
No,
we don't at all pride ourselves on being professional. In fact, quite the opposite. But the fact remains that just looking at that race engineer message to the driver, that communication, dreadful.
Yeah. Not acceptable in the slightest. However, I will quickly sum up. F2 ended up, the sprint race was won by was it Noah Leon? I believe won the race. And then it was Nicholas Solov, the big Bulgarian lion, won the feature race. I think Solov, if Lawson isn't gonna, or if someone at VCarb isn't pulling through, I think Solov could easily be taking the seat. But it's yet to see. Good from Noah Leon. It's just a full Campos sweep. For Formula 3, it was Luca. What's his name? I don't want to say Brad. I've actually forgotten his first name. Oh my goodness, that's awful from me. But it was.
How are you talking about Formula 2 without knowing?
I said Formula 3.
Formula 3 without knowing.
I know his surname. It's Badoa. It's Brando Badoa. That's
Badoa.
It. Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously Luca Badoa was his older brother.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, but it's Brando. It's Brando Badoa.
Yeah.
But, or Badoa, however, he won the feature race, whereas Hiyu Yamakoshi won the sprint race, which was a bit of a fluke from the fact that he got reverse pole and no one could overtake. It wasn't a particularly interesting F3 race. I will mention for F2, there was at least some more action, but it did end up getting to the point where no one could overtake, so they were backing up. The people in the top 10 were backing up to make space to then charge forward to try and get the fastest lap point, because that still exists for F2 and F3, which is a little bit ridiculous, and you kind of expect...
You can't blame them with that.
No, you can't.
With the way Monaco is.
Yeah, with Monaco, it's not that shocking, but it also does mean that after a certain point, it's like, okay, everyone's settled in, the chaos is over, it's done deal, like that's it, it's over.
Yeah.
Right.
So with that in mind, that sort of segues nicely into the other series that have occurred this week.
I think first we've got to talk about our predictions from the race.
Oh, we'll get to that in a minute.
No, our predictions from the race.
I don't want to talk about it.
We're talking about our predictions. You cannot stop this.
Okay, so every week every race week at least, for Formula 1, we make predictions on what we think is going to happen in the Formula 1 race. And we did so for Monaco, and we did so for Barcelona as well. By did so for Barcelona, I mean we're about to, because we forgot to write it down before this race, so we're kind of fluking this.
We're going to be doing the Barcelona ones on the fly, but we'll do that at the end of the episode. For now, we're just going to recover.
Give us more time to think.
What we did for Monaco. And let's start off by, who did you think was going to win the Monaco Grand Prix?
So, for race winner, I put Oscar Piastri. And of course, he was clearly the better of the two Monaco McLaren drivers.
Yeah.
But
we haven't actually mentioned that this was their 1,000th Grand Prix.
Whoops.
1, whoops. 2, they didn't really do much. 3, my God, that livery is so boring.
It was. It looked. I will admit. Obviously, we spoke about it last race.
Yeah.
It looked better in the race because it turned out they actually had some reflective elements on it, rather than just black and orange.
Yeah.
It looked better in the race, but aside from that,
it was
so nothing.
I was expecting something better. I was expecting red or something.
Red, white, orange,
honestly,
silver, anything.
Honestly, just go for a bit of white chrome and the papaya, because then it's a good combination of the three.
Anything would have been better than what we ended up with. But yes,
Piastri.
I predicted Oscar Piastri. Did not happen.
No, he came fourth. I predicted Lewis Hamilton, who did come second and was considerably closer to Antonelli than everyone else.
6 seconds, 6.2 seconds.
It was 6 seconds compared to, I think Hajar was 17 behind Antonelli.
It was a crazy time difference.
Massive time difference. Just shows how well he's been doing. Race Binner, so who did worst of the weekend, and we have done awfully.
Yes.
So I went for Fernando Alonso.
You moron.
I just expected him to... Listen, I've done the brilliant thing. I have, anti-cursed him. So that because I predicted he was going to do the worst, he's gotten his first point of the season. It's brilliant.
I, meanwhile, predicted Esteban Ocon,
who got ninth.
Finished ahead of Alonso after penalties, at least as of when we record this.
But as...
So, both of us are, once again,
wrong
incorrect.
Because, both of them did decently well.
They did
no way
indeed.
we could say anything against it. But it gets worse. So, flop of the tops, I went for Kimi Antonelli, who won the race monstrously. So there is no chance I can try and swing that.
No.
And who did you go for?
I went for Lewis Hamilton, who might not have won the race, but if you were at all involved in Formula 1, you'll know that he finished second. So, once again, this is a sweep of no points for either of us.
Until
we come to the wild card prediction. Now, this prediction is for anything, whether a certain driver finished in a certain position or a certain team finished 2 cars within the top 10.
Now,
anything could be on for the cards this one. And what did you put?
Well, see, I did at least 10 overtakes. And my general consensus in my thoughts was it needs to be on-track overtakes. Pit lane stuff does not matter. Now, in theory, i.e., it's quite hard to find numbers for the Monaco overtakes. However, I'm going to pull the most scummy card possible here.
No, I know you are, because we spoke about this before.
We spoke about this in the fact that...
But this is for the viewer at home.
This is for the viewer at home. So, Max Verstappen, starting in second, he started the race, he moved forward, and then got overtaken by 20 cars? So as such, I think that counts as at least 20 overtakes on track.
I can't deny it.
So,
factually, it is true.
It is factually. If people want me to get a half point instead of a full point, then please do comment on YouTube or Spotify or whatever if it's a bit scummy.
Please do. But I need more points in the predictions championship.
So if it takes that extra half away from me, then so be it, but you just have to say
I'd still be behind even then.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
however,
my wild card was 3 different teams on the podium. And I was also correct. Not even by technicality. This is just as clear as possible. Even if it changes and Gasly ends up on the podium.
No. Interestingly, no matter what changes, whether Hajar's red flag penalty gets put through, whether Gasly's penalty gets revoked, whether it stays as is, it will still be true because the other Mercedes was so far behind and the other Ferrari is gone.
Yeah.
So
I indeed
get the point for that.
So, for those who aren't aware, and we'll get to this in a minute when we make our predictions for Barcelona off of the cuff.
Yeah.
We have a championship kind of going between our predictions that we will indeed be totting up at the end of the season, and whoever gets the most correct or the most points will win and be receiving a prize from the other presenter.
Indeed. It's currently 6 to 4.5, I believe.
Something to that extent.
If I get the full point for my overtakes thing, it's 6 to 4.5.
Yes. So currently the standings are 6 to 4.5 after this race.
Yeah.
At least unless anything changes.
Yeah.
So there's some wriggle room there, whether it becomes 5.5 to 4.5 or a full 6 to 4.5.
Yeah. We'll see.
But yes, before we make our predictions ahead of next week's race at Barcelona Catalunya, we indeed have to discuss what happened in the other series. And of course, this is something that we do every week. For those who are new and for those who are returning, we go over other motorsports series every week to sort of see what's been happening in the general world of motorsports and to bring it back. So one of the ones that it's also to quickly mention, this is based on what we watch ourselves. And one of my favourite motorsport series is NASCAR. And in terms of the Cup Series, the top division, we had the Firekeepers Casino 400 at Michigan. And this was won by Denny Hamlin. And this was a big one because he won his 63rd Cup Series win, which ties him for all time with the late great Kyle Busch. And of course, we spoke about Kyle Busch and his unfortunate passing away in the last few episodes. So this was a really emotional one, not only a big win, but also an emotional one. But yes, this win has put Denny Hamlin 51 points so far before any sort of points japery occurs with the NASCAR points system. He is now 51 points behind Tyler Reddick, so it is close. But yes, he flew the number 18 flag to show his respect for the late great Kyle Busch. And this race was chaotic. There were several big crashes, and even a red flag after Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell ended up crashing into each other with Chase Elliott losing his back end, trying to correct it, crashing into Christopher Bell, and Bell went into the barrier hard. And this put a lot of debris on the track, brought out the red flag, but this was not isolated. There were several big incidents, including 2 big crashes, some of which even took out some of the field, including Tyler Reddick, the current points leader. So a lot happened with this race, and yeah, this has changed the point standing massively. So in terms of that chaos, we can only expect more with Pocono Speedway next round next weekend. And Pocono is an interesting layout, which is undoubtedly going to bring out even more crazy results. So if you're even in the gaps in which you're watching the 24 Hours of Le Mans, which we'll get to in a moment, you will want to tune into Pocono and see what's going on. But I will hand over to you now.
No, quick question about that, because we watched the highlights together, which is something we don't use. We sometimes do it, but we usually watch them separately.
Yes.
For series that we can't catch live. But Reddick was who crashed out, obviously championship leader with Hamlin close behind. Reddick was up near the front. What if he didn't get caught in that instant? How well do you think he would have finished?
I think obviously Hamlin pulled at over a 10-second gap on the rest of the field by the end of the third stage and indeed the race win. But even then, I think Reddick would have been at least in contention or P2, P3. Okay. So it's the Toyotas are clearly proving themselves to be strong, whether that is 23XI or indeed Joe Gibbs Racing, the 2 sort of faster Toyota teams. No matter what, the Toyotas are proving to be incredibly fast this season. So I think Reddick would have at least been top 3, no matter whether he crashed out or not.
Fair enough. Right, now moving on to the series that I follow the most closely, that is Moto GP. Moving on to the motorcycle world, we had the Grand Prix of Hungary down at Balaton Park, which everyone kind of lauds as being easily the worst track on the circuit since its introduction last year, and hopefully the rumours are we're going to be moving back to moving to the Hungaroring. I think it is back to the Hungaroring. There were some races ages ago, but they're changing some of the barriers to give a bit more runoff for any crashes and stuff like that, especially with some of the recent crashes. And the sprint race, in fact, the whole weekend has been a absolute washout by Marc Marquez, back in absolute proper form. And with just quite how bad the overtaking at Balaton Park is, it's made an easy victory for him. But with close behind has been Pedro Acosta, which is really, there's been some incredibly tight battling between the two of them, which is kind of almost emblematic of what's going to happen in the future, as obviously the massive rumours at the moment is that Acosta is signed for the Ducati factory team to take the seat from Pecco Bagnaia, which, I absolutely cinema to see the two of them race, so I would not be surprised if they continue it forward, and it's quite well-known knowledge that Acosta is not happy with KTM, so we'll see how that goes. But during the sprint, with the lack of overtaking, it just led to Marc Marquez winning, followed by Costa in second and Bezzecchi plating up in third. But for the main GP, once again, won by Marc Marquez, and has now become the third ever rider to win over 100 races in the Premier class, tied with, is now up there with the likes of Valentino Rossi and Giacomo Agostini, which makes him easily, he's already one of the legends of the sport, but even more so now, one of the best motorcycle riders of all time. However, this was definitely helped by Jorge Martin going absolutely bowling at turn 1, taking out multiple high-end riders of Bezzecchi, Aldeguer, and Raul Fernandez. So all of the pretty much all the Aprilias besides Aguro are out, plus the Grassini of Aldeguer. And alongside that, Fabio Di Gianantonio, who's been doing really good, third in the championship at the moment, being taken out, but he did manage to get back going, but I don't think he got any higher than about 17th kind of area. Or maybe a little bit higher. He might have just gotten in the points because there was a large amount of retirements. But it does mean that there's been a lot of wild results this weekend. Luca Marini getting P5, which is massive for Honda. Diego Moreira with a career best for P6. The fill-in rider for Alex Marquez, Iker Lecuona, gets P7, which is insane for someone who's just stopped in for one race. He's go up there with Paul Espargaro as maybe he should be back on the grid kind of thing. Jack Miller, honestly, getting a bit of a redemption with how poor he's been, and obviously his contract has been very much up in the air with Yamaha, or Pramac in particular, being quite unwilling to sign him again, especially with the... But it seems like a bit of a loss considering he's a great technical rider, and with the new Adelaide street circuit, it makes sense having an Aussie on the grid. But getting a P8, good bit of redemption. Also, can't be stated enough, but fantastic ride from Pecco Bagnaia to get another podium, especially with how he's been last year. So he's clearly pulling something back once the Aprilias are off the grid. And also, as per usual, Ayagura charging back from behind up to get that 4th position just behind Bagnaia. Those two are beginning to make a habit of Bagnaia falling off but staying in 3rd, and Agura charging up but staying in 4th. Hopefully that does not continue, because I quite like Agura and I'd like to see that man do well. That's about it. Yeah.
Okay, and with that in mind, we move on to the IndyCar. And indeed, this was also quite an exciting race.
Pretty good on the whole, yeah.
Yes, so the Bommarito 500, which was won by Joseph Newgarden. Now, this was quite a close race. Both of us together watched the highlights before this recording session. And yeah, quite a lot of close racing up at the front.
Yeah. It was incredibly tight between Newgarden, Ericsson, and Rasmussen. Awful of tight fighting between them. Also, you had Plo in the mix. Caio Collet was in the mix as well.
That was crazy.
That was fantastic to see from the rookie, but unfortunately, those two befell some slightly grim fates. An engine failure doing in Collet, which was that's a shame. You can't predict that at all, and it's just sad to see. He was doing so well. He was pulling in he was leading for several.
He was
laps.
leading for a while, and he was in P2 for a while.
Yeah,
at the point at which he retired, I think it was P2. Before he entered the pit lane.
No, I think it was P3. I think Newgarden jumped him, but he was
He was still around the really close positions until that point.
Yeah, he was close to getting a rookie podium, which would have been fantastic. But unfortunately, it was not to be. Same with Palou. Obviously, dominant, Mr. Perfect. Can't fault him. But this time, strategy did him in, and with him running out of fuel in the pit lane.
Yeah, which was crazy to see.
He was basically crawling through the pit lane, dropping him down from near the top, top 5 down to
P18.
It was 18 or something. I think
by the time he came out of the pit lane,
yeah,
P18.
He climbed out to 17, I think, by the end, but he was not doing anything in particular after that. And in the end, it just ended up with Joseph Newgarden winning, with Marcus Ericsson and Christian Rasmussen rounding out the podium, which you could see Rasmussen up at the top.
Yeah, Rasmussen's had an alright season so far.
No, he's not. That's what makes it interesting.
Last few races, at least. Turned it around.
It's not been horrendous, but he's not had a great season so far.
No, but he's at least managed to recover some positions. Make it up in the time between.
Right.
But yes, just one more thing to quickly go over in terms of other series, and that is this weekend. It is the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Indeed.
Possibly the biggest race in motorsports.
It's
depending on who you ask, at
Triple
least.
Crown.
One of the Triple Crown. Depending on who you ask, it might be the most important motorsports race of the year.
I think it's the best race of the year.
Absolutely. I agree. So the Indy 500 and, of course, the Monaco Grand Prix make up one prong of the Triple Crown of Motorsports. So it's all to play for here.
It's all to play for, and it's like
the Aston Martins have looked quick.
There's been a lot of competition.
The Aston Martin Valkyrie has topped off the practice times.
I've not seen the practice times yet. I've been trying to keep that out of view because essentially,
apologies,
I'm not going to be around for the actual race, so I'm not going to be able to watch it. So I'm going to have to watch the highlights of it on playback because I'm going to visit a former F1 circuit for a weekend. Donington Park, but for something very different, that being loud music and alcohol. But regardless, it's going to be fantastic if you have chance even to tune in for a little bit. The 24 Hours of Le Mans is a fantastic watch.
Truly.
It's always worth at least having it on in the background. You get some crazy stuff in the middle of the night.
No matter what you follow as well, whether it be the LMP1s / hypercars these days they call them, or the LMP2s, the LMP3s, the LMGTs, whatever you want to call it.
I'm pretty sure they usually run hypercars and LMGT3 because those are the two WEC ones, but then I'm pretty sure they also still run the LMP2s specifically for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Yeah.
You get a lot of the European Le Mans Series cars showing
the
up,
Elm stuff.
Which, as someone who follows the European Le Mans Series, and you'll hear about the European Le Mans Series over the course of this podcast calendar, it's a huge part of it, and the European Le Mans Series guarantees a spot for the winning team on the 24 Hours Le Mans grid. Mm-hmm. So it's an important race series, and it can really have an effect on the World Endurance Championship. So
it's good stuff. Definitely at least worth keeping an eye on, even if you're not able. Obviously, 24 hours. Not everyone's able to watch the full thing, but keep an eye on it. It's always good.
Absolutely, just try and tune into the stream when you can.
Oh, for sure.
And with all that said, there's only one thing left to do,
which is our predictions for next week.
Yes. Now we have been slightly stupid. By that I mean really stupid. We're morons, and we have not actually typed in our predictions beforehand, so we are slightly winging it here.
Well, it's essentially we usually have them pre-written down so that we don't have to think about it on the spot and come up with something randomly. But honestly, I don't mind it. We'll just
not at all.
Do it off the bat. Just keep note of it so that next time round we can check it back. I think it won't be that bad. So, for those who don't know, every week before a race, we do a set of 4 predictions. Our race winner, our race binner, our flop of the tops, and our wild card prediction. Race winner and race binner are just who won and who did quite bad. Flop of the tops is who of the top team drivers has done the worst in particular. And then wild card is just something a bit out there that we think might happen. And so, to start it off, Scobbo, tell me, who do you think is going to win the Catalonia Grand Prix?
Now, I think that the winner of the Barcelona Catalonia Grand Prix will be, drumroll please, Charles Leclerc.
Ooh!
Now, the Monegasque man has proven that he's got pace in Monaco, whether it be through actually putting in some good lap times or crashing out, which he did in both qualifying and indeed the race, whether his fault or not. I think that the Ferraris are going to start showing their pace now. Obviously, the rule change has definitely affected the Mercedes in terms of their fuel compression ratio. And I think that now the Ferraris have got a good chance to get themselves on equal standing with the Mercedes. So I think that of the two Ferrari drivers, the young Monegasque man is going to get the better of the old British man, as he has many times so far this season. But what about you? Who do you think is going to be race winner?
That's very fair. I think race winner, and I mentioned it earlier, I think that Barcelona is the perfect test track. So the best car with the best driver is going to be the one that wins. So unsurprisingly, Kimi Antonelli is my race winner for next week. I think that while usually I'd say it's like there's no way he's going to win a 6th race in a row for a rookie, this is Barcelona, which is one where traditionally the best car of the year has been the one that's won the race. And I don't think that's going to change this year. Unless some kind of incident happens, I think Antonelli is going to take the win.
Okay, that's interesting. But now we move on to the race binner. Who do you think is going to bin out of this race?
I think race binner around Spain, I think it's going to be a home crowd tragedy. I think Carlos Sainz
Really?
is going to have a woeful weekend.
Interesting.
I think Williams just aren't going to have pace around it. I think there's going to be stuff that goes wrong for them, either technically or like a bad crash for Sainz. Usually he's decently clean with the racing, but I see something going wrong for him.
Interesting. Okay. Well, in antithesis to that, I've gone for a different team driver, and I have gone for Arvid Lindblad.
Ooh.
Now, this might seem like a sort of, whatever you want to call it, low-hanging fruit. Obviously, he is less experienced, but coming off the Monaco P6, which is his best career result so far, I think Lindblad is going to struggle a little bit with Barcelona Catalunya. And obviously, he's going to struggle a little bit in terms of sort of coming to grips with the track and, getting used to the race itself. And I think that's going to cause him to make mistakes. And whether that be his or the team's, I think he's going to find himself outside of the points and struggling. So that is my race binner. But now we move along to flop of the tops.
Who have you gone for? Have you gone for flop of the top?
For flop of the tops, I have put Lando Norris. So Lando Norris obviously has come off of quite an unfortunate result in Monaco, having to retire from the race with mechanical issues. Not his fault. I don't think it's going to be much different in Barcelona. In fact, I think it's going to be much of the same, with certain issues causing him to retire from the race. Not specifically, he might just have a bad result. I don't want to tie myself down to anything specific too early, but I don't think that Lando Norris is going to have a very good result, and I think it's going to end up with him outside of the points, or indeed retiring from the race.
For my flop of the tops, I've kind of gone the opposite in that I've gone for Oscar Piastri.
Oh.
I do think generally the McLaren is not going to be particularly great compared to the other top team.
No, not
cars. At all. It's been said and stated that Red Bull possibly have the best engine when it works, but that is massively up for debate. And obviously Ferrari and Mercedes have been performing the best, so I think the McLaren drivers are going to be at the back of that. And I just think around this circuit, Piastri's just going to have a little bit worse, whether it's he gets into a stupid incident or stuff. He just doesn't have the pace. We shall see. But I have gone for Oscar Piastri.
Well, that's interesting. And that takes us to only one more remaining sort of parameter.
Yes.
Don't play around with my headphones.
Oh, that's my bad. Go on. Say your...
So, my wildcard prediction is that there will be no safety car in Barcelona. That is full safety car. That does not apply to virtual safety car or indeed sector cautions.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that the full safety car is going to be brought out in Catalonia. Obviously, Barcelona is not the hardest in terms of the circuits that the F1 drivers have to deal with. They've already done testing there. They know what their cars feel like around there. They know what they're going to do. And even in the sort of, the event of an odd freak accident, I don't think that a full safety car is going to be deployed in Barcelona.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion. What do you think?
My wildcard prediction is pole position does not win the race. For the majority of races this year, whoever's gotten pole has won. And right. I think that's going to change this weekend. I think that it's whoever takes pole is not going to end up leading the victory. Whether they drop down to the back or have a failure, or whether it's that they just lose at the start, I think pole position does not win this race.
Okay, that's interesting. But that indeed takes us to the end of our predictions for Barcelona Catalunya. Yeah. Be sure to tune in next week on Tuesday when we go over our results and see how well we did. And on that note and in that spirit, please do feel free to reply to us on Instagram or Twitter on the @Tyre Straits podcast account. Just let us know if we were completely off the mark or whether we were bang on right.
yes, essentially that brings us to a wrap on this this Monaco Grand Prix episode. Final thoughts? Anything else you got to say about the race?
I don't really have anything to add apart from what I've already said.
Fair enough. I'd say a pretty conclusive episode on the whole. However, next week we got obviously going to be reviewing Catalonia Grand Prix, so we shall see you then. Thank you so much for watching it.
Yes, absolutely.
If you've made it all the way through to the end, please, if you wouldn't mind or have enjoyed the podcast, then please follow us or subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify, or any of our social platforms. So
Instagram and Twitter as well.
Instagram is the main one, but we also have a Twitter account, which we are trying to get more and more active with. And hopefully, we shall be able to respond to it. With us being quite small, any kind of questions or hot takes or anything from the races, we'll be more than happy to respond to or include in the episode. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Yes, absolutely.
See you next week.
So, please do tune in next week. But until then, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.